I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide Cole Johnson. And we're going to touch on things in hockey, things in baseball, things in football, and other things as well. Sit back, relax, hang on for this ride as we go through the dull days of the sports summer right now. And speaking of right now, headlines, please. League Baseball. Wow. They showed up and shut out yesterday, at least on the offensive end. Yesterday, or I should say, as of this recording yesterday, or Tuesday, July the 18th of 2023, we witnessed an offensive onslaught, the likes of which has not happened since Grover Cleveland was in office as president of the United States. Yes, 129 years ago have we not seen offense like this. 12 teams scored at least 10 runs in the modern era. That has never been done, period. And unfortunately, with the last of these games, the Twins finishing with the highest scoring evening of a 10-3 shellacking of the Mariners, they did become that 12th team to score 10 runs or more on that Tuesday, July 18th, 2023 night. In all, 4 games featured both teams scoring 10 or more runs, which that tied a major league record. On all the games that did have the offering of the offensive onslaught, the Dodgers 10, Orioles 3, the Guardians 10, the Pirates 1, the Giants 11, the Reds 10, the Mets 11, the White Sox 10, the Diamondbacks 16, the Braves 13. No, that's wrong. It should be the Cardinals 16, the Falcons 13. I'm sorry. The Cubs 17, the Nationals 3, the Royals 11, the Tigers 10, and the aforementioned 10-3 beatdown of the Twins at the hands of the Mariners. You have to go back to 1894, 13 different teams then, with 4 of those games of both teams plating 10 or more runs as to the last time this has happened. Well, this might be a good thing for baseball, but don't hold that thought just yet because they're not out of the woods so far. But a good beginning, I guess, right? Going to the ice real fast. The Kraken head coach, Dave Hakstol, I'm sorry, he signed a contract extension that will go to the 2026 season after he led his franchise to a second round appearance in the playoffs, and to me, more importantly, not just a first round victory in the playoffs, but a first round victory of against the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, because to me, that is the huge thing. Hakstol had a 1-year mark remaining on his 3-year contract when he was named the first coach in franchise history to start last season. He received the new deal, tacking on 2 more seasons of what Seattle was able to accomplish this past year, which was year 2. Kraken general manager Ron Francis, he released a statement saying the following, quote, "We believe we are heading in the right direction with Dave as our head coach, and it was important to show that confidence with this extension. Dave and his staff have done a tremendous job of creating a close-knit team-first mindset in our locker room, and their work ethic helps set the tone for our team." Close quote. Well, being in a sports-starved city as Seattle and seeing as though they need the Supersonics back, I always am in joy whenever I see anything Seattle happen, because that fan base needs to be rewarded every single chance they get, because they're just awesome. They are. And I don't live in Seattle. I'm not paid by the Seattle Chamber of Commerce. Just being a sports fan for many decades, that is what I have seen, and I stand by that. I stand by that comment. So congratulations to the Kraken and to Mr. Hakstol. I hope that you have more years on the bench leading the Kraken, and hopefully to something greater than just simply a first round playoff victory. Maybe a Stanley Cup championship, perhaps. Who knows? Back to the Diamond. And unfortunately, now the Major League Baseball offices has to take over television rights of a second team. Th- That's right. On Tuesday, they had to take control of the Diamondbacks television rights under the league's broadcast umbrella after the original rights holder failed to make its required payment to the club earlier in July. Diamond Sports Group, parent company of Valley Sports Arizona, declared bankruptcy earlier in the spring, and the Diamondbacks were one of the several MLB teams whose TV rights could be impacted by said financial troubles. Now, earlier this season, MLB took over production and distribution of the Padres podcast. If I'm not mistaken, I think that actually happened back in April. Now, according to a news release, the Diamondbacks, MLB will give fans the ability to watch games on television or digitally stream, and will eliminate the need for local blackouts of games previously distributed by Bally Sports Arizona. Now, in order for Major League Baseball to have a long-term financial success, they need to get over this hurdle. And it was funny. We've seen the NFL leap ahead of it, and then the NBA take after its cue. It looks like they need to embrace streaming a little more, and they have to understand that they may not get the big bang for their buck as they used to when the game was its number one national pastime of the United States. Unfortunately, they want to see more of this, and I have seen fights of this nature happen where the television rights were in doubt throughout the entire season. Well, hopefully this will not happen to too many teams, but I think it will, because it looks like it is eh, a portend of things to come. Staying on the diamond. The Yankees, well, they are a traditional bunch, right? You have Monument Park out in center field. You have Yankee Stadium, although yes, I know it's in its third iteration of the building, but it looks pretty much the same. And the uniforms, they look the same. It's pristine, especially the home uniforms. It's in pinstripe, navy, and white. And they have just a number and the New York and City on the front. No names on the jersey in the back. Not even a player's last name is on the jersey, right? However, last week they announced a deal with Star Insurance that will put the company's logo on a uniform sleeve patch, which will mean the team will wear for both home and away games the Yankees' new signature partner. The first appearance of said patch will come when the Yankees host the Royals this coming weekend to kick off their first home series of the season's second half. Now, the sponsorship deal is expected to net the Yankees at least $20 million each year. Well, for a team that's all about tradition, they are basically chunking that in the name of money. Let me stop. Now to the gridiron. And Tua Tagovailoa, he says he's feeling stronger physically. He feels much lighter spiritually, and he feels this would bode well for his team that he plays for and he quarterbacks for, and the Dolphins, who they begin training camp next week in hopes of returning to the postseason despite a tougher AFC East slate, I should say, as he now enters in his fourth season. Now he hopes this time he can play a whole season and even be in a playoff game and win one and contend for a Super Bowl later this year. Now, Tagovailoa is, I guess you could say, as confident as he is, he has this to say about his and his team's chances. Quote, I think we have a chance to do something really, really special. Last year was special. Look, let's not take away from that. But I think this year we can do something much more special than what we did last year if we all get our minds in the right place. Close quote. Did you say mind, sir? Because unfortunately for the Dolphins and for you, sir, the fate of your team is tied to your mind. And I know you said that you were taught in all season to fall so you can protect your head and not bang it on the turf should you happen to fall. I understand that. But you still have this issue to contend with. You don't have to hit your head as hard because you are more likely to get another concussion. All your brain needs to do is feel a jolt that is much more uncomfortable than you would like. Since you have suffered 2 concussions in 4 days and 3 concussions in 2 months. I'm sorry, 3 months. But as for your team's chances, yeah, they go as you do, sir. And I hope you have a healthy 2023 season and beyond. And finally, now we talked about this last week, but the ex-Northwestern players are now forming, I guess you could say, an alliance. And they are speaking public for the first time since the allegations of hazing misconduct has embroiled that said university and has led to the dismissals of Pat Fitzgerald and of Jim Foster, respectively, the head football and baseball coaches of the program. Now, Lloyd Yates, he was a wide receiver and played for the Wildcats from 2015 to 2017, he had this to say about said lawsuits. Quote, "The university and football program has let us down. We were thrown into a culture where physical, emotional, and sexual abuse were normalized. We were all victims, no matter what our roles were at the time." Close quote. Well, it looks like Evanston has a lot of things to clean up. And tough times are ahead. And what sucks was the university, in terms of all of its sports programs, was starting to have an uptick and an upswing, but not anymore with this lawsuit. Well, and I hope those who were affected by the hazing, that they find some sort of justice and get peace from it. And that concludes this week's headlines. We'll take a pause for the cause, and when we come back, you Brownsexuals, you gotta stop. Seriously. I mean, seriously, you need to stop. This is Cole Sportz. Be right back right after this.
You have to learn to live with yourself before you can make a commitment of yourself to someone else.
When you go to something that's already structured, like the church, I don't need to go in there thinking I'm the pastor. It's like already one set up, you know what I'm saying?
It just had everything, but I learned, you know what I'm saying? Everything I did, I learned from.
So we look forward to seeing you same time, same place. Know that we love you, God loves you more. Continue to stay safe, do the right thing, stay out of trouble.
Conversation that informs a community. Brothers of Legacy. Every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Quinn.
Moment of clarity. I haven't watched BET in years.
KP.
Drake needs to come back with another triple platinum album.
E Digger.
And then you have Ray J. Like, I can't stand that River Cricket.
The Guru.
Okay, the level of crack she's smoking, I don't want it.
BS3 Network proudly presents the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast, where from card tips to hot topics to meat of the week, anything goes. Live every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Central. Welcome back. Cole Johnson, Cole Sportz. And every time I see LeBron James's face, I almost feel as though I have to be in this position. Why? Because I am so tired of the love fest. And anyway, before I get into that, let's take our first of 4 trips to the most important part of this show, the VIP zone. And if you are here in the VIP zone and you have a good, witty, or a strong, or an intelligent comment, or an insightful one, it will be a chapter on this particular episode. So you got 4 chances to do it. Let's see you come up with what you need to come up with. VLock83 or Victor Lock, he says, let's go ahead and get classy as we talk sports here on Cole Sportz with the Z. He goes on to say, it's also impressive considering, talking about baseball having an onslaught of offense, considering how baseball has become harder to score runs, which that's true. BS3, or as I call him, Benjamin Sutter, the owner manipulator, the operator of the BS3 network, he says, good afternoon, Cole. Good afternoon to you too, Ben. And Victor says the same thing to you. Now, if you feel led in your spirit to comment on all of what we provide for you, or even in the chat itself, don't be bashful nor shy. Put that comment there. Now, for those who probably are from the Snowman in the Morning family, I came up with Bronze Sexual Confessions because I only wanted to talk about the subject known as LeBron James just for one time in the week. I could talk about anything else in sports the other 6 days a week. I just regarded Wednesday for about 15-minute space of time to talk about him no matter what he did on the other 6 days of the week. So, of course, imagine my surprise. He was going to get an award last Wednesday after this episode last episode aired. And, of course, he drops the bombshell that he isn't retiring. What a shock. But it's not him I really feel I need to address. No, and it's not even his fans I need to address. It is the obsessive fan base that just gets more annoying by the day. And so I have to drop one of these on them. Email Bronze Sexuals. Subject of email. Stop drooling like that. Body of email. So we come now to the time in his career where you all hang on to every single thing he does, and you have to trumpet him and his exploits so hard that it makes it unbearable to watch him. And it doesn't mean that you even dislike him. It's just that the odor that is what bronze sexuals exude gets to be so much to where we don't want to bother dealing with him or talking about him or even thinking about him, because we all have already figured that, well, the conversation to even talk sense into you all is futile. So I had to learn that lesson quite easily, quite fast, and unfortunately a few amount of times. And none more did I have to learn that lesson quicker than when he accepted his award at the ESPYs, the ESPY Awards this past year, which took place last Wednesday. Now, he won an award for, of course, breaking the all-time NBA scoring record for a career. He did that back in January. Now, LeBron, of course, being the guy who can manipulate a situation to where it is conducive to him to shine, which I can't really fault him for it. That's just a great it's just a great personality, knowing when to shine and how to shine and how to maneuver things to have things be the way he wants it. And you can only applaud a guy or a woman who can do that. He had people hanging on his every word ever since The Lakers got swept by the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals back in May. So how did he leave us hanging? Well, he gave us the cliffhanger of saying, well, I got to take time and think if I really want to continue doing the sport that I love. And so 2 months have passed. I'm sorry, a month plus has passed. And now about, let's just say about 6-7 weeks later, he took the stage at the ESPYs and he felt the need that it was the time for him to announce the following. Quote, I don't care how many more points I score or what I can and cannot do on the floor. The real question for me is, can I play without cheating this game? The day I can't give the game everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Pause, 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 pause. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today. Close quote. And of course, it's in Los Angeles, and he has a lot of fans, and that comment drew a loud applause. And it should. I'll admit that. Now, he added along with it, he said, well, you can love me, and I know some you hate me as well, but the one thing you will always do is respect me and appreciate the way I approach the game and what I've given to this game. I really don't have anything to say about that. I really don't. But it was the comments that followed, like when the cheerleaders at the bronze sexuals saw that and heard that, and they took to Facebook and they took to Instagram and they took to YouTube and they took to Twitter and now they took the threads and they decided and took to TikTok and decided to spread this poison everywhere of, yes, my king is back. And he's going to bring a chip. He's going to run it back, and he's going to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the 5th time in his career come June of 2024. That is what makes it sickening to even deal with anybody or anything who is obsessed with all things LeBron James, because we keep hearing this over and over and over again. And the messed up part is we don't need the regular or the postseason. We hear this crap in the offseason. And if it's not LeBron James is the greatest of all time, it's look what your king, or look what who you claim to be the king and Michael Jordan didn't do. Or look what Kobe didn't do. Or look what name a current player today can't do. And it just is ad nauseum. It gets worse and worse and worse, and it gets more and more tiring and taxing to the soul, to the body, to the mind, to the spirit of a regular sports fan. And we have to endure this all year long. And the reason why I say we have to endure this all year long, and you'd probably say, well, Cole, you got Lakers fans, you got Yankees fans, you got Cowboys fans. Here's the thing. As bad as they all could be, and I know I've seen many Lakers fans. I know some they're good. I know some that aren't. I live with a Yankees fan, so I know how that is. And my mentality partner is a Yankees fan, and he isn't that. And Cowboys fans. In fact, my man Victor, he's a Cowboys fan. I do not group him there. But basically is the moronic republic of Cowboys Nation. They can be insufferable, right? But the funny thing is, Cowboys fan, Yankees fan, Lakers fan, they actually have an off season. You bronzesexuals don't. You talk about this guy with joy juice running down your mouths and hand just grip like this because you have joystick envy all year long. It could be January, it could be July. You talk about him and you say ridiculous things such as what I just said before of him being better than anybody, of echoing Savannah James, calling him the GOAT on stage at the ESPYs last week, or having a YouTube video or TikTok video or Shorts video stating that let me do this in quote fashion, quote, that LeBron James could possibly have 4 Hall of Fame careers wrapped up in one, close quote. It is that mind-numbing ridiculousness that needs to stop. It is why I created Bronze Sexual Confessions 4, now almost 5 years ago in the first place. It's the reason why it's now on other places, where when other people get put on platforms, they say, one of the things I love about you is the Bronze Sexual Confessions thing. You know why? You know why? Because they understand it gets nauseating. It gets tiring. It gets ridiculous. It almost gets vomit-inducing. LeBron James is going to be playing for his 21st season in the NBA. And he's probably going to play for his 22nd and 23rd, for however long he can, so he can say that he played on the court for a year with one of his sons. So get used to it. I don't think the 21st year is going to be his last. But what I do understand is that, yes, his greatness will probably not be compared. His greatness will always be there. And there is only one LeBron James, and will only be one of him. And I applaud that. What I don't applaud, though, and what I never will applaud, is the fact that he can be the biggest P.T. Barnum person, meaning he can be the biggest promoter, and you all as Bronze Sexuals will just gobble that up like Thanksgiving dinner. But you could serve that at any time, at any place, during any period of your lives. That needs to stop. But alas, I know it never will. Poor me for thinking that you all actually had the sense God gave a gnat. Cole Johnson, Cole Sportz, Cole Sportz with a Z at gmail.com. You're listening to the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz! From the vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history. July 19th, 1980. Now, this was a good time for sports, or at least the sports world, because we were on the precipice of the Summer Olympiad in Moscow. Now, one thing, though, that marred that game, though, was the fact that the U.S. earlier that year, from the lips of then President Jimmy Carter, decided to boycott the games because the year before, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. But this is important simply for this reason. Normally, the opening ceremonies before 1980 was one where it was a celebration of nations, and the parade of athletes would just march around the track and field stadium, and then the flame would be lit. But this games was different because the USSR wanted to put on the spectacle to impress the rest of the world. So along with the Parade of Nations, an artistic performance was included after the Parade of Nations were finished. And since then, both the Summer and Winter Olympiads have held opening ceremonies, which were expanded on the artistic program, and now it is seen as the main event at the opening ceremonies. Moscow decides to put on a shine and sheen to the opening ceremonies as the U.S. boycotted them on this date in 1980.
From the vault, brought to you by Cole Sportz. This is a journey into crime. A podcast journey that tells the stories of those long forgotten or those easy to remember. We go on a journey that reveals mystery, intrigue, and offers more twists and turns than a country highway. We have looked over cases, we've combed over evidence and testimony, yet we still are left with no answers. Sometimes, in order to get a deeper understanding of something, you must return to view. Now available for download for subscribers only. Each episode premieres only on the USA Today Network. Join now for just $1 to receive premium content like Return to View. That's $1 to become a subscriber and a Return to View loyal listener. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to Cole Sportz. Cole Johnson here. And back to the VIP zone we go. And Vlog83, he knows how to put it together. He says the mild sauce is flowing again. Yeah, like a volcano out of a mountain. Yes. And he also goes on to say LeBron James sounds more like Ric Flair every day. I will never retire. Alluding to the run up to the 2008 I forget I think it's 24 I think it's WrestleMania 24. There's a run up to that in Orlando, and yeah, Ric Flair famously in the ring said that I'll never retire. NBA Cypher with Mo, glad to see you, brother. He says all facts keep spitting, and I definitely will, because that's just how we roll, and that's just the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Literally, so help me God. And thank you again. If you feel the need and feel led, hit that comments, because you are the lifeblood of this show. Not me, not the content. You are. And speaking of you all being the lifeblood of the show, VIPs, I have to get to, I think, what has been a time-tested thing that you all love, the Dolt of the Week. Dolt of the Week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's Dolt of the Week is the former Arizona Coyotes Alex Galchenyuk. Now, I know some of you are saying, who? And some of you are saying, what? Here's why he has won the Dolt of the Week. So he, last week, was in Scottsdale. And he decided to run afoul of the law and be belligerent. So he repeatedly used racial slurs toward a police officer in training. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, he threatened to have 2 officers killed during a traffic stop this past weekend. And those actions led to the former Coyote to be terminated by the team. Now, Scottsdale Police Department spokesperson reported that Galchenyuk was erratic and aggressive toward officers after apparently crashing a car into a sign. And Galchenyuk cited connections with Moscow, saying stupid things, I don't know, like, quote, "I'm gonna chop you, your wife, your daughter. One phone call and you're all dead. Your whole family, your bloodline is dead." Close quote. No, Lord, this guy is a true mental midget.
Come on!
Really? Really, Galchenyuk? Really? So you're gonna be like a Russian mafia to a police department? Really?
You for real?
Actually, I don't say that as well. Iconics Inspiration, help me out.
You've got to be joking me.
So you just want to slit people's throats and threaten police, right? Oh, good Lord. Okay. So for those who are probably unaware of this guy, so he was born in the U.S. to Belarusian parents. He spent much of his childhood in Russia. And during this event, he ushered a racial slur several times while referring to the officer in training. The Coyotes released this statement after releasing this absolute mental midget. Quote, "We are aware of the incident involving Alex Galchenyuk and strongly condemn this type of behavior. Once the club was made aware of the allegations, we immediately began the process of terminating his standard player's contract through the proper channels in conjunction with the National Hockey League." Close quote. Now, he was arrested this past weekend on charges of private property hit and run, disorderly conduct, failure to obey, resisting arrest, and threatening or intimidating police. Also, according to the report, there was a witness who told the police that a white BMW hit a curb and a sign. The training officer and a trainee arrived at the place, and Galchenyuk was on the ground about 20 feet from the car. And when they watched another man put him in the passenger seat, they drove off. Goodness gracious.
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
If I was his family, I'd be like this, probably on the constant.
No!
Mr. Galchenyuk, you are, without a shadow of a doubt, a mental midget. You are, without a shadow of a doubt, a mental midget. You are, with a shadow of a doubt, you are a mental midget. You are a doggone mental midget. Why would you threaten police? Why? What was the point? What is the point? And then you want to throw out racial slurs too, along with being belligerent. This is why you got released from your NHL contract, because they saw that you were being an idiot. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, hockey players, they're not like basketball players or football players or even baseball players. They don't really run afoul of the law too much. They're normally nice guys. Well, this guy seems like he's a henchman to Putin, the way he's talking. I mean, really? Good Lord. I would do the L thing, but I don't even want to waste my time anymore with you. Just get out my sight. One more break. We'll go back to the VIP zone and we will talk about the running back situation in NFL. It might be on life support. You're watching Cole Sportz. We'll be right back.
Do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations.
Coming to the next edition of Cole Sportz, training camp, and more training camp. The NFL season is starting to kick into higher gear as we get further closer toward the Christmas season. I know we're in July, but still, we will be getting out of the, man, I miss the NFL, to where we'll get to see all of the NFL that we want. And of course, some MLB stuff will pop off. Who knows? There'll be some NBA stuff that'll pop off too, and other things. Maybe such as the national team for the women's in soccer, since the World Cup is going on right now as we speak. But that's for next week. We're not done with this week. Back to the VIP zone we had. And Victor Locke 83, he starts it off. He says, and now Stupid University presents Doubts of the Week. My brother from another mother, Snowman from Snowman Multimedia, says, Dear Savannah James, you fired. Vlog 83, he says, did he, in talking about Alice Golchenyuk, did he think he was on the scene of Casino? Did he think he was Joe Pesci or Robert De Niro? That's what I was thinking. He says, look, this whole thing doesn't stink to high heaven. More like this whole thing stinks like 5-year-old chicken fat. Yeah, I believe it did and does and still will, no matter how long that whole thing lasts. All right. So Saquon Barkley, and it's been talk all throughout this offseason of him getting a contract extension. But alas, he received the franchise tag. And what position does he play? Running back. And there's another franchise running back that was waiting for that big time contract extension. He goes by Josh Jacobs. Yes, the running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. He actually won the rushing title last year. And he doesn't have a contract. Well, we're going to talk further about this situation as I go. Yeah. So the Giants are saying, we're not sure if we're going to put a good long-term contract for you, Mr. Barkley, because we have concerns. So now that the deadline has passed for signing long-term deals from franchise-tagged players, the Pro Bowl running back Saquon Barkley now has a decision to make, and it is very simple. Yeah, he signs a one-year tender agreement with the Giants, or he says, I will take a powder for the 2023 season. Now, Barkley admitted in an interview last week he is considering sitting out. In fact, he went on to say the following about that. Quote, my leverage is I could say, screw you to the Giants. I could say, screw you to my teammates. And be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want me to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. I won't play it down. And that's a play I could use. Close quote. Josh Jacobs, meanwhile, he was getting ready to report to training camp. He was sitting at the Raiders headquarters in his car waiting for the news that he was going to get a deal presented to him. And lo and behold, the time came, the time went, and no deal was presented. And so now you have the dilemma of having these running backs who are putting their livelihoods on the line, but they're realizing that the position that they play is not holding the value that it once did. And what's the word I'm looking for? The NFL thinks that the running back position is expendable. And it's unfortunate that they think it's expendable because they get used and used and used. And the only other position on the field that probably gets as many hits like the running back does is the quarterback. But the quarterback, unlike running backs, are the most valued position on a football team. So why have we come to the running back position being the least valuable at the moment? Well, it's simply because you have statements. You have stats like, well, the average shelf life of a running back is 4, maybe 4.5 years. Stats such as, all right, so the rookie contract, they'll play well. They get their first real NFL contract, and they don't come close to playing to that standard. If you don't believe me, think Cowboys. Think Ezekiel Elliott. He balled out his rookie contract. He played above and beyond it. And he thought that he was going to be the hot stuff and even held out to get the contract that he did sign. And once he signed that contract, which I think it was like a 5-year, $90 million, $60 million guaranteed, I think, or something along those lines. Once he signed it, he never performed up to that contract, to the point where the Cowboys just this past offseason said bye-bye. And they had to actually marry having him be part of a backfield that included another running back. Hello, Tony Pollard. But what about the situations like in Tennessee where it's Derrick Henry and you may have other running backs, but you pretty much know he's carrying the bulk of the rock? Where it's Saquon Barkley, the Giants, where he is carrying the bulk. Where it is Josh Jacobs, where he is carrying the bulk. And they're not anomalies. You have every NFL team that's looking at the running back position and they're looking for the next big thing, maybe 2 or 3 years after they are ready to dispose of their current big thing in the backfield. And you could probably go as far back as, I don't know, Terrell Davis, where he had a 1,300-yard season, a 1,600-yard season, an 1,800-yard season, and a 2,000-yard season. And then after that 2,000-yard season, he had an injury and was not the same since. You can go to Todd Gurley, who he was balling out of control for the Rams. He signed his real NFL contract and couldn't come close to playing up to that contract, to the point where he got traded. And then you have the curious case of Le'Veon Bell. Now, Saquon talked about he could use that leverage of sitting out and basically throwing a middle finger to his teammates and the organization. Well, that's exactly what Mr. Bell did with the Steelers and the players. His fellow teammates and the organization, he's like, no, I feel as though I should not get paid like a running back. I should get paid like a running back wide receiver hybrid. And he held out for an entire season because of it. And the thing was, if he were to sign the franchise tender that he would have for the second straight year, he would have been paid $14 million. And the Steelers were willing to actually pay that much for a 4-year stretch. To which Bell was like, no, I'm looking for $17 million a year. And he says, until you come up to that number, I'm going to sit out. And so he sat out. And he thought, okay, I'm going to gamble. And I know there's going to be a team out there that's going to steal me up, sign me, put the name on the dotted line for me to put the name on mine on their contract. And I'm going to get paid the worth that I know I am. So he tests the open market. He becomes a free agent after he holds out that year. And the Jets do sign him, but to a $13 million a year contract. And he did not play up to that contract. And from then, he played on 2 subsequent teams. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Ravens and the Chiefs. So this past week, we saw him actually put forth a story saying that he needed to apologize to the Steelers organization and the Steelers fans because he made a mistake holding out. Yes, sir, you did. You had a team that was willing, able, and they wanted to come to the table saying, you are part of our future. But you didn't feel that energy, Mr. Bell, and you ruined your future by doing that. And you never were the same. In that wonderful patience that you had in hoping a hole opens up and then you burst through it, that turned into slow feet, indecision, and a guy that lost not 1 but 2 steps. Saquon, I think what you have to understand, sir, is that the Giants are looking at your injury history. Last year, you were great. You were healthy. But you already had a season where you were injured for most of a year. So teams are going to look at you and say, I'm not sure I can pull the trigger on this. I'm going to hold off. You can't be surprised at that. And you can't be surprised at that, Josh. This is the lot of, unfortunately, the running backs room. Out of all the positions in the NFL right now, the running back is the most expendable because now teams are married to having at least 2, if not 3 backs in their backfield. And not a pecking order of first string, second string, third string, or first down, second down, third down. No. They, just like pitchers have pitch counts, it looks like now running backs have carry counts. because now they don't want to have a running back carry the rock 20 times a game. They'd be happy if he does maybe 10, if not 11 or 12. And they'd split that time with the other two backs who also carry the rock 10 to 12 times a game. You're dealing with a different ball game. Yes, it's unfair considering the history of running backs and the fact that it plays a big part in the NFL lore. I mean, Jim Brown, Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Barry Sanders, Curtis Martin. The list goes on. And I know there's many other running backs I can name that I haven't. The position is important. Unfortunately, you're now playing in an era today where offense is too pass happy. Now, quarterbacks are slated to run more than running backs. And there's less to eat from the position. And you're feeling the pinch at the negotiation table. And until you have a running back that probably could last like an Adrian Peterson did, you're going to be feeling that pinch for long times to come. So don't be cautionary tales, Saquon, Josh. You have to hold that position up and hopefully do the damage to the defenders that unfortunately organizations are doing to you with your wallet. Take one last trip into the VIP zone. And VLock83, he says, look, I was just going to go there, Cole. It's the Zeke Elliott effect. He, along with Todd Gurley and along with Le'Veon Bell, that triumvirate, to me, makes all of the NFL owners gun shy and wanting to throw money on a running back after their rookie contract. Because now they can go back to that running back and say, you see Todd Gurley, you see Le'Veon Bell, you see Zeke Elliott. They weren't the same after they signed their big-time NFL contract. That's unfair to them. Unfortunately, that is what is happening in the landscape of the NFL when it comes to running backs. It's a shame because they get absolute no love. If you feel led to donate to this program, go to cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. That's cash.app/host Cole Johnson. And that will do it for this edition of Cole Sportz for the illustrious Cole Johnson and the VIP zone. Thank you, all of you. And tune in next week because we're going to talk more sports the way we do it. But for now, this is
Thank you for tuning in to Cole Sportz. To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sportz with a Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sportz VIP Boutique. That's with a Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.